My self-absorbed family threw me out, and then insisted I hand over my 3-bedroom home to my brother's family of 6, just because I'm single and childless. I'm a guy in my early 30s, unattached. My younger brother, 29, already has 4 kids. He started young, having his first at 22, the second a year later, the third after 2 years, and the fourth recently. His wife, my sister-in-law, and I clash because she loves to provoke me, acting high and mighty, then plays the victim with theatrical tears if I respond. Her crying is so convincing she could fool almost anyone. My parents and brother are smitten with her, even though they know her manipulative ways and don't mind. She's undeniably beautiful, but her personality is so toxic I could never be charmed. She also refuses to work, despite her college education, and my mom happily babysits her kids all day. My brother's income supports them all, which traps them in my parents' cramped, 1960s built 3-bedroom house, where privacy is scarce. Growing up, my brother was the clear favorite. 3 years younger, he developed an ego because I'd face harsh punishment if I reacted to his antics. My parents openly favored him, giving him the best of everything unless relatives called them out. This happened often, so my parents moved us 150 miles away to avoid scrutiny, limiting family visits to holidays. My brother bullied me physically, flirted with my first girlfriend until she dumped me, and mocked my every misfortune. When I was upset, my parents told me to tough it out. I only got fair treatment when they needed to save face in public. It was satisfying to see their discomfort when they had to treat me equally during birthdays or Christmas in front of others. Our nosy relatives loved gossip, so my parents hid their favoritism and threatened to strip me of everything if I spoke up. They were thrilled when I turned 18 and left home, as it meant they no longer had to support me. I wasn't done with high school when I moved out, but couchsurfing was better than staying with them. After leaving, I stayed in touch with a few people. My family didn't even show up to my graduation, but I didn't care. From then on, I only saw them during holidays, like the rest of the family. The 2020 pandemic hit me hard. I lost my job and couldn't renew my apartment lease because my roommate also lost his job, and we couldn't afford the rent with unemployment checks. It was a nice 2-bedroom condo I loved. But when the lease ended, my roommate moved in with family, and I had to sell most of my stuff to downsize. I shouldn't have rented such a pricey place, but I enjoyed the lifestyle until it backfired. I realized I should have lived more frugally to save money. I owned a truck, always loved them, so I bought a $1,000 camper in decent shape and fitted it onto my truck to live in temporarily. It dragged on longer than planned. I asked my parents if I could park the camper at their place, where my brother's family also lived, but they said their house was full and they didn't want me around. We hadn't been close in years. They'd only let me stay if I paid them apartment-level rent just to park. That was absurd for an unemployed guy trying to save his unemployment benefits. With their price, I could have rented an actual apartment. They called my camper an eyesore and told me to get lost when we couldn't agree. My sister-in-law found it hilarious, and my brother joined her, mocking me as a homeless loser. That first night with nowhere to go, I slept in my camper in a store parking lot, scared someone might break in. I barely slept. Other relatives lived too far, and my friends were in apartments, so I couldn't stay with them. I was attached to my area and didn't want to leave. I had my mail sent to a friend's place, the only way to keep receiving it. Finding safe parking spots was tough. I lived the camper life for months, dealing with everything from panhandlers to people telling me to move because my camper looked bad. One guy, claiming to be from an HOA, threatened me, even though I wasn't near houses. I moved to avoid trouble. To keep power, I'd sneak extension cords into random building outlets to charge my camper's batteries. It wasn't right, but I needed my fridge to work. I had a small solar charger for my phone, but no generator, as they're noisy and need fuel. So I did what I had to. After months, I found a job in a nearby city avoiding retail, which I swore off after college. I was still on unemployment, but needed stability before it ran out. Plus, I was bored out of my mind, stuck reading, watching DVDs on a portable player, or using my phone and laptop while scouting parking spots and public restrooms. I envied places like Japan with public bathhouses. We could use those here. At my new job, I parked my camper in the back lot of the warehouse, an unused employee area. My boss, the company owner, liked that I was available for any shift, as long as I got sleep. He let me detach the camper and park it there so I could drive my truck freely. I'm not sure if it was legal, but no one bothered us. Trespassers were rare, and security handled them. My boss let me plug into the building for power and water, and I paid a small rent by working free Sundays, when only the janitor and security were around. I showered at a friend's or the gym, as the camper had no shower, just a portable toilet I avoided filling since emptying it was awful. I had a warehouse key for bathroom access and became close with the night security guard, now a good friend. The camper was easy to heat in winter with a small electric heater, but summers were brutal without air conditioning. I bought a used portable AC to cope. I earned overtime and learned new skills. Mid-year, I got promoted to supervisor with better pay than my old job. That's when I decided I needed a real home. Losing my condo taught me I wanted something stable. I found a 3-bedroom manufactured home on a small lot 2 miles from work, snagging it for $10,000 below asking price. I used my savings for the down payment and got a loan. I no longer needed the camper but parked it in my backyard as a backup. Once settled, I foolishly bragged about my house on social media. My family saw the post, and that's when trouble started. Weeks later, my parents, brother, and his family showed up unannounced for a tour. I never gave them my address, so I suspect they followed me from work. They barged in like they owned the place, poking around. My sister-in-law kept smirking, and I later realized why. It infuriated me. My parents kept saying the house was too big for a single guy like me, while my brother noted it had more space than their place and was closer to his job. Red flags everywhere. My brother, let's call him Jake, pulled me aside for a private talk. Everyone else left the room, which tipped me off they'd planned something. Jake said the house was too large for me alone, and I should let his family move in since his wife was pregnant again and it was closer to his work. He suggested I live in the camper outside while they took the house. He didn't mention rent. Jake has a decent job but acted like he was entitled to my home, even proposing curfews and rules about when I could enter. I couldn't believe his audacity. I'd seen stories like this online, but living it felt surreal. My family fit the entitled, narcissistic stereotype perfectly. I grabbed my phone, started recording, and let Jake ramble about why he deserved my house. He acted like it was a done deal, reaching to shake my hand. I snapped, shouting, "Hell no," loud enough to startle him. I rarely raised my voice growing up because I'd get punished, but this was my house. I stood tall and said it wasn't for sale or rent, and I wasn't responsible for his growing family or their inability to move out of our parents' place. Jake got in my face, saying I owed him because I had no kids. I told them all to leave or I'd call the police. My sister-in-law screamed I was heartless, claiming her pregnancy entitled her to my home. I said I owed her nothing and called her a spoiled brat who never respected me. That set her off. She slapped me and tried to do more, but Jake held her back as she raged about scratching my eyes out. I waved my phone, showing I'd recorded it all, and threatened to press charges for assault if they didn't leave. My parents told Jake to go, and my mom gave me a week to come to my senses. I told her I wouldn't, and warned my sister-in-law the recording could land her in trouble. She stormed out, screaming. My mom, the last to leave, insisted I do it for Jake. I repeated I wouldn't. I knew they'd spin the story to make me the bad guy, so I posted the truth online with video proof before they could. It spread fast, and most family members supported me, knowing my family's entitled behavior. My parents, Jake, and his wife had a few defenders, but their lies didn't stick. Someone called me a terrible brother, saying I should make room for a real family man. I blocked them. A week later, my parents and Jake showed up, banging on my door. I'd added chain locks and held the door shut. They begged to come in, but I refused, filming and threatening police. My mom, in a fake sweet voice, asked if I'd let Jake move in. I said I didn't love him as a brother because of years of mistreatment they enabled. I called them awful parents and told them to leave or face cops. They left quickly, my mom fake crying. I thought it was over, but they weren't done. One Friday, I came home to a moving truck and Jake's minivan in my driveway. They were moving in. Jake waved smugly, and my sister-in-law said my mom approved, so it was fine. Furious, I locked myself in my truck and called the police. My sister-in-law banged on my window, screaming I couldn't do this to her pregnant self. I told her it was my house, not Jake's. She threatened to key my truck, which the 911 operator heard. I warned I'd sue if she did, and she backed off. When police arrived, Jake and his family had locked themselves in my house, changing the front door lock. The old lock, drilled out, sat on the porch with the drill and bits, clear evidence. My parents arrived, lying that I'd agreed to rent to Jake. They showed a fake lease with a forged signature that didn't match mine. I pointed out the fraud and threatened legal action, including CPS if anything was damaged. Jake paled, scared of losing his job. My mom still pushed me to live in the camper and let Jake have the house. I told her to give Jake her house instead. The cops separated us. I listed their crimes: breaking in, forging documents, assault. I said I'd only held back for Jake's kids, but wouldn't if they didn't leave. My sister-in-law tore up the fake lease, throwing it like confetti, and was ordered to clean it up or face a littering fine. Jake's family tried a rehearsed pity act, huddling together, kids crying, begging to stay. I laughed, saying Jake wasn't sharing, he was stealing. No tears would sway me. Jake cursed me out until cops threatened arrest. They packed up, but Jake threw the new lock's keys into a storm drain, forcing him to fish them out after a cop's order. My mom kept pleading I could still do it for Jake or let him rent it. I refused, saying I'd never live with them again after their betrayal. My sister-in-law threw a tantrum, refusing to leave until the end. With 4 cops watching, I aired out their past abuses, favoring Jake, mocking me when I was homeless, charging me unaffordable rent to park my camper. I asked why I deserved such treatment when all I did was exist. They had no answers, just stood there, my mom crying, my dad humiliated. I said they'd go to hell for their actions. They left, and I posted the update online. My family's support grew. My parents and Jake lost nearly all allies. They didn't defend themselves, too embarrassed. I hosted Christmas Eve for half the family, excluding my parents, Jake, and his wife. Their profiles didn't block me, and I saw my sister-in-law's passive-aggressive posts about their cramped life with my parents after her 4th child's birth in November. It must drive my parents crazy, with 3 loud kids, a newborn, and an unstable sister-in-law in their house. Maybe they should move into a camper and give Jake their house for peace. They could do it for Jake. I'm still recovering financially from buying the house. I'll get cameras when I can afford them. My old laptop isn't ideal for recording. I didn't press charges for Jake's kids' sake. If he lost his job, they'd suffer. But I won't be so lenient again. They know it. My sister-in-law's petty posts continued, whining about living with my parents, clearly aimed at me.